Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast. In this episode, we're going to get Brent on from A3 Archery. If you don't know what that is, he's on TikTok and Instagram. He is a string manufacturer, and honestly, he and I have been talking for a few weeks. He was supposed to come on like a month or two ago, but it kind of didn't really work out. But we're also going to talk about obviously strings, and then we're going to talk about seasonings and cooking and hunting and just pretty much everything, basically field to table. So it's going to be a really good episode. Before we get started with that, obviously we got to do the partners. This one's not going to be as long as the last one, so I'm just going to run through them. Working Class Bow Hunter. I honestly love their podcast. I love everything that they do. We've been partnered with them for a little bit now. And if you want to go get some merchandise over at their website, workingclassbowhunter.com, use the code down below in the description to save you 15%. Next up is going to be Osseo gear, Camo brand of choice that I'm not going to say always have used, but I've been working with Osseo now for about almost 3 years. And dude, the product is absolutely amazing. So I know some new stuff is coming on. I talked to Wells earlier today, and there is some new stuff that's coming out very, very soon. So be on the lookout for that. You guys are going to be seeing a lot more of Osseo stuff from me. And also, if you follow me on, the social medias and stuff, you're going to be seeing a lot more of that as well. New one that I want to start pushing, it's related to Osseo. I want you guys to go check out Mission Whitetail. That is Joe Miles, the owner of Osseo's podcast. And the reason I'm doing that is because Joe is a wealth of information, and that podcast teaches you a lot. I mean, it taught me a ton about whitetails and tactics and stuff in order to get on more mature whitetails. And I mean, we're pretty much all out there to try and kill the biggest buck we can, right? So that podcast is amazing. It works wonders. Definitely go help support them. Next up is going to be Summit Stands. As you guys know, I've been using Summit now for 5-6 years. And been partnering with them for about 3. Very thankful, great products. Head over to summitstands.com and use the code down below. Osseo also has a code down below that will save you 15%. Most of these are 15%. So just go down to the description, check out all the codes. You can save yourself a little bit of money. Deer season is only, what are we in, April? Deer season's only 5 months away. And I've been hearing talks about our season getting longer. So who knows, man? I'm excited. But definitely check out Summit Stands to get all of your tree stand needs taken care of. The Bowtique arrow wraps, best in the market, in my opinion. He just dropped some Working Class Bow Hunter ones that I know they've got on their website, so you could probably use the code for that as well. I need to actually ask Kurt about that. But anyway, check out the boutiquellc.com to get all your custom arrow wraps made and get your arrows looking right. Tax season's already started. I've got tack in 2 weeks, or not even 2 weeks, a week and a half. So I know that my stuff's going to be looking tight for that. Next up is going to be Bergie Bowsmith. You guys know I've been pushing Bergie for a while now. I still don't know when our episode's going to drop on his podcast. Should be soon. I mean, there's been quite a few that's dropped since then. So I probably need to text him and ask that. But head over to Bergie Bowsmith, use the code down below to also save you 10%. Next up, G5 Outdoors. So I'm gonna mix G5 and Prime together on this one. My bow finally shipped today. There were some logistics things that we needed to work out. We got it worked out. The bow is on its way. I have the tracking number. Hopefully it should be here by the time this episode drops. And if that's the case, if you guys see me at TAC in Tennessee next week, you are going to see the new bow with the new dialed archery sight, the new proof. You're going to see the Osseo limbs. You're going to see the Recon Gray on that bow. You're going to see my arrows that I'm shooting for tack, but not shooting for the season. It's a whole long story. But yeah, man, I'm excited. So if you guys are in the market for new broadheads, or you're in the market for a new bow, or in the market for a new sight, check G5 out for your broadhead needs, Prime for your bow needs, and then dialed archery for your sight needs. All 3 of those are top tier products that I am extremely thankful to be working with and using. I've noticed a difference, and I know you guys would too. Next up, Ace Hardware Social Circle. They are the ones that are going to be tuning my bow. And thankfully, I talked to John this morning. He said we should be able to get it tuned and everything well before TAC on that Sunday. So all I got to do after that is just go sight it in. Should have plenty of time. Going to move some things around to make sure that happens. And, they're a great shop. They're located in Social Circle, Georgia. If you guys want to make the drive, For those of you who don't live close to Social Circle, I highly recommend you do. Tell them we sent you, and they will definitely take care of you better than any shop that I've been to. Next up, Moultrie. So if you listen to last week's episode, you know that it's finally official. We switched over to Moultrie with this weather and stuff and timing and work and family and yada, yada. I haven't been able to get those cameras out yet, but I do have 2 new cameras with the solar panels. I was able to hook up one of my old solar panels to the Moultrie I was already using, and it's working amazingly. So got a lot of work to do, but the Moultrie cams are definitely going to help us get on these big bucks this summer. Me and Josh both at the spot we hunt have very high hopes for the deer that we've already been seeing. A couple of them are from last year, so it's going to be good, man. I'm hyped. And Moultrie's products are amazing. They work flawlessly. The stuff is top notch quality. Just check them out. Head over to Moultrie. I think it's moultriemobile.com. Yeah. And check out what they have. We will have a code for you guys soon. I'm still waiting to hear back on that, but hopefully I'll be able to get a code that can save you guys a little bit of money before the summertime, and most people get their cameras out. I run cameras all year. I feed all year. I put mineral out. I scout. I mean, I'm trying my best to stay on these deer as much as I can. So those Moultrie cams help a lot. Next up is going to be Camo Dust, scent control company that I use. I've been using it now for 3 years, and it works amazing. So definitely check them out. Buy the 6-pack if you do go over there. Let's see, Boning Archery. So once again, code down below to save 20%. They've got the new Alpha vanes, the new Atlas vanes. They've got match point tips. They have our tried and true blazer. They've got the X vane, and for those target archery guys, they have vanes for you too. So Boning Archery has been in the business for 79, 80 years, something like that. So they have solidified their place. So I trust them. Hope you guys do too, and definitely use that code down in the description. We all like to save a little bit of money. So next up is going to be the Chase. Brock, at the time of recording this, has a guided turkey hunt that he is guiding tomorrow with the guy that has been guiding for 25 years. So everybody send up a little prayer for him that they have success. By the time this drops, I'll know whether or not he did. But their turkey season in Michigan started last weekend, and they were 100% success rate. I think they killed 3 or 4 birds. So that's awesome. That's a great way to start the season. They're killing it up there. If you guys are interested in getting a guided hunt out of Brock, excuse me, let me know or reach out to him. Go follow the Chase on YouTube. Go watch his videos. You can see what he's all about. And just trying to, excuse me, God, I don't know what's going on. Just trying to help him grow. That's all we're doing. And last but not least is going to be Odyssey. So Odyssey's episode is next week. I got it mixed up. I thought it was this week. It is next week. So we're going to learn all about what that app is, what is making it different from all the other apps that are out there. And yeah, man, I'm excited. Dakota seems like a really good dude. So that's all the partners. Before we get started with Brent, I have to talk to you about our Lord and Savior. I do it every week. And, you know, this past Easter was amazing. Truly, we went to church. I felt the presence of the Lord there. He is working wonders in our lives right now. So please, he died on the cross for you. Okay. He took on your sin. Now, granted, he did do that. Yes, we all still sin, but through faith and grace, you know, we're saved. I mean, it's really that simple. I have definitely noticed my relationship with him getting stronger. Certain things that I used to have issues with, I just don't have issues with anymore. And that's all because of him. So all glory to God. This podcast is his. Every single episode I hand over to him and say, your will be done, not mine. And it seems to be going pretty well. So going to keep doing that. Going to keep placing my faith in the Lord. And, you know, I hope you guys listen to this and that makes you want to do it too. So look, that's all the partners. That's my pastor moment. Let's get started with Brent from A3 Archery. Talking already for like 15 minutes. So I just told Brent, I was like, look, I need to hit record or we'll miss all the good stuff. But we got Brent from A3 Archery on today. If you don't know who he is, go on TikTok, go on Instagram. If you follow the Bow Hunting League, I know you know who he is, even though I just found out that he's been working with them for years. So just shows how much I know. But anyway, man, what's going on, dude?
Oh no, man, just staying busy, just building bowstrings and living life.
Hell yeah. So
got some future endeavors going, got a seasoning company about to launch and toying around with the idea of a laser engraving company launching.
Yeah, it's so funny. We were literally just talking about this, and I know you know where I'm going with it. But the laser engraving thing seems to be like like I just had Cody from Dark Owl on last week, and some of the stuff I've seen him do is just insane. Like he's making a scope for me to throw on my dialed later on this year, and I was like, hey, can we do this, this, and this? And he's like, yeah, dude, no problem. I'm like, how are you? My brain still doesn't understand how we've come to the point where it's like if you want like Bible scripture, or you want like so what I'm getting on my scope is going to be, I don't know what color yet, but I'm getting the podcast logo, and it's going to have SEBH around it. And then all on the scope's going to be like little crosses.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I can't believe that that's something we can even do. But the stuff you were talking about, I don't know if we can talk about it, but if we
Yeah,
can,
we can
I
definitely
mean,
talk about it, but I mean, I'm with the engravers that I have, I can actually put your photo. So say husband and wife getting married, I can actually put that on a piece of wood, I can put it on a rock. I mean, it's limitless.
yeah.
Um, there's some hesitations like around stainless steel. I can mark it, but it won't be as deep.
Mhm.
But mirrors, think like glass. Like if you had like a pint glass, I could put your picture on a pint glass.
How do you not break it?
Well, it's laser, and so the laser is actually fracturing the glass, but at a very small, minuscule.
Mm,
So it's actually fracturing it, but it's not breaking it, and it's
yeah.
not making it brittle to where it's going to break later. But literally, put your picture on a glass.
That's
Um,
wild. I mean,
and
I've seen stuff like I've bought things for the family off Amazon for like Christmas or Mother's Day, and it's, speaking of which, I need to order my mom and my wife stuff tomorrow for Mother's Day. Holy crap.
just I was just
Anyway,
talking I was talking to Brenny about what are we going to make mom for our moms for Mother's Day. So
yeah,
I'm going to print them some. I'm going to actually laser etch some cutting boards. I think for them both. So
dude. See, and you made me think of that when you said wood, because like we have two upstairs. We've got two cutting boards that are like for me and my wife's anniversaries. One of
mhm.
them is in the shape of a heart, and then engraved on it is the date, our names, and then some. I'm glad she doesn't listen to this. Some sweet little thing under it. And then the other one is like the paddle, like what they used to use back
Uh-huh.
in the day at school.
Yep.
Um, it's got a buck and a doe on it, and then the same thing, like our names, the year we got married, all that stuff. And so when you said wood, I started thinking, I was like, oh, that's what that is. I'm thinking, I don't know this stuff, like
That's laser engraving.
that's so cool. So, all right, so the glass thing, like you were kind of saying something earlier before we started recording, you could take, say I said, hey Brent, I've got this photo of this buck, like this one right here, right? It's the first buck I shot with a bow. If I
Mhm.
said I've got that photo, I want to put it on a piece of glass, or I want to put it on a mirror or a Stanley or whatever, you'd be able to do that, and it wouldn't just look like the shading and everything wouldn't be off.
No. So what I do with that photo is I'll bring it into a program and I'll take the background out,
Yeah.
right? So it's just the deer, and then I'll reverse the image, right? Make it backward,
Oh, negative.
and then I'll turn it into a negative, and then I'll do some adjusting with the contrast and the brightness and kind of make sure that everything looks good, and then I'm gonna slap it on glass.
Dude, that's so sick.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
realize I was gonna have
I've
two
kind of,
engraving episodes.
I've kind of got an upper hand because of my farmer background, and like I'm really good at like computer aided drafting.
Hmm.
So when it comes to these softwares that the laser or 3D printing or any of those things, it's a lot of the same. So
Yeah,
the learning curve wasn't very steep for me at all because I've been doing it my entire career. Um, so jumping into it, it was very, very just kind of just shot right into it. No big deal.
dude, that's wild. I really didn't realize I was gonna have two episodes that were gonna be talking about engraving stuff. I mean, it seems like, but all right, so that kind of goes to another thing that I actually was talking to my buddy Ben from Sodak Horizon today about it, and we were kind of discussing like the customization side of the archery industry and just really everything. But the archery industry, I feel like, doesn't really have too much of that. Like you got Mike from the Bowtique, and now you've got Dark Owl. But other than that, I can't really think of, as far as archery is concerned, ways for people like like myself or like Ben or like you to go and be like, hey, I have this logo, or I have this deer, or I have, whatever it is in my head that I want to make, but I want to have it on the bow,
Yeah.
and it's kind of cool to start seeing like people able to actually customize stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I could take your if you had a handheld release, like a thumb button release, I could take your release, put it in the printer and print whatever you wanted on it.
That's so sick.
So it's just really customization. I mean, it's, whatever you want to do. If you've got something, you can ship it to me. I can engrave it. I can etch it. I can do all kinds of things with it. So it's really cool. But the other thing on that side of like customization is bowstrings. I mean, I throw this around a lot, because I, I'm a one-man shop, so I see every order that comes in. I build
Mhm.
every order, it's not like there's a whole bunch of us, but I see the same people ordering bowstrings, and they order bowstrings. So some of them order bowstrings every 3 months. And I'm like, what are they doing? They're changing their bowstrings to match their shoelaces, or I mean, well,
I wouldn't be surprised these
a lot
days.
of times what it is they're changing their fletching color,
Mm,
and their
mhm.
bowstrings don't match. So now they're buying another set of bowstrings. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I'm not knocking it.
That's expensive.
It keeps me in business, but man, that's expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk, man. Like I've talked with a few guys on here about my arrows that. So when I first got into archery, I used to build everything hand by hand, right? So I actually still have it. It's upstairs, but I've got a pipe cutter that I would cut my arrows with to a specific length. I'd take a field point and I would round it off that way, flat, like basically square it out. I'm not saying it was perfect, but it flew fine. And then I'd get the cheapest, I forget what it was like Pine Mountain or something, fletching glue, and put on the insert, bang that thing on the table, and then it'd be a bear shaft that's ready to go. I didn't have a fletching jig, so then I'd take a fletching and I'd put that same Pine Mountain fletching glue on there and stand there while me and my wife are watching our show, just holding it, hoping that I've got it right. The amount of times that I have done
So
that.
as long as I've been in this industry, so a little bit of backstory on me, and A3, I guess you could call it, was my dad owned a archery shop when I was a kid.
Mhm.
So like I grew up in an archery shop. I mean, literally grew up in an archery shop.
Yeah.
Um, my dad, and back then they didn't have string builders. The companies that sold the bows built the bowstrings. So when somebody needed a bowstring, either you ordered it from the company or you figured out how to build them in the shop. And, so my dad figured out how to build bowstrings. And back then, we're building them out of fast flight, Dynaflight, polyester, um, stuff that stretched because
Polyester.
you wanted it to stretch, because the limbs couldn't handle the shock
Mm.
load of the bow. So I mean, and I still have material. I've still got B55. I've still got some Dynaflight. And man, when you go from 100 pounds, like say B55, you go from 100 pounds to like 400 pounds. Oh, it'll stretch over an inch. It's crazy. It's like gum. I mean, it just goes. But that's
Crazy.
what we build like longbow strings, recurve strings, like the older bows that don't
Yeah.
have reinforced limb tips. That's what we have to build those out of, because if the limb tips aren't reinforced and you put something hard on there, the bow's going to break.
Yeah.
It's got to have that stretch. It's kind of the shock absorber, for
Hmm.
some of those old recurves and old longbows.
That's crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, all right. So circling back to like what we were talking about, the customization stuff a little bit, because I want to hear the history of A3, and I have questions.
Mhm.
So I will get to that. But the whole point of like why I brought up my trailer park redneck arrow rigging stuff was, and I still have done this. I mean, I've got arrows over here. I could show you. I've got three different fletched up arrows that two are no, one is all white, one is two yellow, one white, and then the other is a white wrap with four yellow. And it's like I used to customize my arrow fletching every other week just because I was bored and I wanted to get better at it. So having done that, and now thinking like there's guys out there that are doing the same thing and getting bowstrings. I mean, hey, it's good business for you. I just don't see how they're able to afford that. Like, there's no way those dudes are married, because if I was doing that, oh man, I'd be I'd be out on the streets 100%. So I think so. All right. One thing before we move on, I want to ask you one question. It's kind of I don't want to say a philosophical question, but it is, you've obviously been in the industry, you've been working on bows, like the ins and outs. Why is there so much of a pushback for customization in the archery industry when it comes to the bigger name brands?
Um, it's time. I mean,
Meaning like it takes too long?
time is money.
True.
So if you look at the big brands, I mean, they want to take a model and paint it this color and get it out the door.
Yeah.
When it comes to customization, it's time, and time is money. So they don't want to spend the time. It's the same reason that they go to, these big, gigantic mass producer bowstring companies, and they spend 25, $30 for a set of bowstrings. And that's what gets put on the bow, and that's what you buy on a $2,000 bow.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you're getting a $30 set of bowstrings on a $2,000 bow, and what do you have to do when you buy the bow? Well, you're
Get
going to
new
shoot a little bit, and you're going to get pissed off and aggravated, and then you're going to spend $150 to $250 on a set of bowstrings.
Yeah. Dude, I
So
have a buddy literally going through this right now. Now, granted, he's shooting a bear legit. So it is a budget bow, but he called up Bear. And I'm not trying to talk bad on Bear at all. This is just a personal experience he had. But he called them up and was like, "Hey, I'm having timing issues." And they're like, "Well, send the bow." So he sent the bow. They said, "There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly fine. Don't know what's going on." So he's like, "Okay, well, maybe it's the strings." And he does all his work in-house, right? So he buys some other strings, puts some new strings on. The bow's shooting good for about 2 to 3 weeks, and he calls me up. He's like, "Man, I just don't understand it." He's like, "My timing's off again." And I'm like, "Look, first off, you are shooting a budget bow. Okay, so you're going to have problems. I started with one. I know what it's like. I moved away from it. But you also got some strings from, I don't even remember what company it was, but it wasn't like, I'm not going to say it wasn't high quality. Again, I'm not going to bash anybody. That's not why I'm here. But it wasn't anything that I'm like, oh yeah, those strings are definitely not the problem, you know? And so it made me, you're hitting on a good point, because a lot of these companies as a whole will take strings. Like I know Matthews, all right, I'm not calling them out, but I know Matthews had a big problem with strings for a long time. That was like one of the grip and the strings were the first two things people would change.
and they
And
build their strings in-house,
yeah,
you know. So
now they do, don't they? But before they were using zebra strings.
well, Zebra is Matthews.
Oh, really? Oh, see, I didn't know that. Okay.
Zebra is Matthews, and now they went to the new match bowstrings, which I've heard. Not trying to beat on anybody, but I've heard horror stories from that.
Really?
Like they're supposed to be this $200 set of strings. It's supposed to be better than everything, and everybody's having problems with them.
Hmm.
So you
I don't
know,
know. This episode's not bashing no brand.
no,
I just
definitely not bashing anybody.
yeah.
I know I've been bashed enough through the years, but
Same.
a lot of people bash me because they can't, they, they, they literally can't compete with me in quality. So how else do you try to hurt somebody,
But yeah.
by being negative?
So okay, you touched on something. I want to hear it. What is it about A3 that sets you apart from, like, say, a ABB or a Gas or some of the other brands that we see getting, floated around these days?
So I'll tell you the biggest difference is I'm the owner, the operator, the janitor, the secretary.
Janitor.
Right? I mean, somebody's got to sweep the string off the
Yeah,
floor.
yeah, I know. It's very
But
humble to say. I like it.
but every string that gets ordered and gets shipped out of here is built by me and me only. I don't have any employees, But the second thing, the biggest thing that separates us, and you can't see it in the video, is, and I'm touching it right now, but it's pre-cycle technology. Pre-cycle technology is something that I kind of dreamed up about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe. Um, Everybody knows as you go buy a new set of strings, you get them put on, go shoot them a couple hundred times, and take it back and get it retimed, get it put back in time and
Mhm.
get it tuned again. Well, me knowing about fiber, and the bowstring fiber cannot, and people argue with me about this, but I've talked to the people who make Dyneema, the people who make Vectran. Bowstring fiber, in the way that we build a bowstring with the strand counts and the twist profile, a bowstring cannot physically stretch, meaning that it stretches and stays long. It's not possible. I'll back that up. It is possible if you put it under about 1,800 pounds for a long time. Okay. That's the only way that you can physically make it permanently creep or stretch and stay stretched. A bowstring fiber, the way we build them, the fiber that we build them with, there's a thing called elongation, right?
Mhm.
Which elongation means that it's going to stretch, but as soon as you take the tension off of it, it comes back to the same spot every single time. So when people say my bowstrings are stretching, it is the build quality, it is the fiber compaction, right? The fiber compaction getting tighter, making things longer. Okay. Or it is the temperature or humidity outside that is making them stretch or contract. So bowstrings just don't stretch by themselves. It takes a lot of weight and a lot of time to make them permanently stretch. So when people say my bowstring stretch, it's the quality of the build, it's the stretch time that they were under, or maybe the build pressure that they were under when they built them. And now after they've shooten them, the bundle's compacting, things are getting, think about a steel cable, like a stainless steel cable.
Mhm.
You know, you can try to untwist that thing, but it's coming right back.
Yeah.
And so what pre-cycle does, and just like a steel cable, when that thing's twisted, it forms a memory, right? It's just got a memory. And so what pre-cycle does, what other string builders do is they stretch your bowstring statically, whether it's 300 to 400 pounds of tension, and they just statically hold it there. Well, what does your bow do to a bowstring when you shoot it? It goes through a series of tensions and oscillations, right?
Yeah. I've
It's
seen
not
it in the
static.
video. It's wild.
So when I built pre-cycle, I built it in that mindset, like what does a bow do to a bowstring? So I went down the path of dynamically stretching it over different weights over different times. And that's how I first started. It was basically, it was just like a timed effort, with basically an analog feeding to another analog, feeding to another analog that was tripping air solenoid valves to turn things on and off for a certain amount of time.
Mm.
Today, it's all completely computerized and automated, and there's transducers on every air cylinder, and the transducers are feeding information back to the computer. And so now the strings are actually telling the computer when they're done.
Huh.
So, you know, and it's reading pressure over time on every cycle. So when it gets 3 consecutive measurements in a row, it knows that that string is done. It can't move anymore. It's done. So when I serve them, package them, when you get them, you put them on your bow. You know, what I tell people to do a lot of times is go shoot it a half a dozen times, get timing close, go shoot it a half a dozen times, check it, set it, and forget it. It'll never move again because it can't. Because those fibers went right back to home where they were trained to be, just like that steel cable. And I'm the only guy that can do that in the entire industry because of what I built.
Yeah.
The way it's programmed and the way the feedback works, you know, nobody can replicate it.
So a lot of these other companies now are saying like pre-stretched, don't worry about peep twist, don't worry about any of this stuff. Are they doing anything that's maybe like kind of similar, or are they just saying that because they're doing what you said before, they're holding it at a tight tension for a certain amount of time?
They're statically stretching it. Now think about this, and I'm probably going to get hated a lot for saying this, but you see the unistrut behind me.
Yeah.
That's what the strings stretch on, right? We've got these these hooks that the strings hook to, they go back to an air cylinder.
Mhm.
If I've got 10 of them back here, which means I can do like 3 sets of bowstrings at a time. Okay.
Wow.
Not wow. Right. Think about it. So if I build 3 sets and I've got 3 sets stretching and they got to stretch for, when I used to statically stretch them, I would stretch them for an hour. And in that hour while waiting for those, I'm building more, right?
Yeah.
I'm laying them out. I'm just hanging them up on the wall, but I got to wait an hour for those to be done before I can even serve them. So it's the Achilles heel of workflow and getting strings out the door. So if you think for a minute that these companies are stretching your bowstrings for the proper amount of time, you're wrong.
Yeah, that has been kind of like, and that was really a question I sort of had when I saw this, or not saw this, but like saw them saying that. I'm like, dude, y'all must have like a giant warehouse of just hundreds of strings being stretched
And
the entire time.
and stretchers, because if
Yeah.
you think like, some of these bigger companies, they've got 30, 40 people building bowstrings. So I know how many strings I can lay out and twist
Mhm.
in an hour.
Mhm.
Man, I could fill up some stretchers. And if I got 30 of me doing it, you'd have to have hundreds of pneumatic stretchers to keep up with that much. So if you think that they're actually stretching them for any good given amount of time, that can't be.
That's
If
crazy.
it is, I want them to show me pictures of their stretching facilities.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
then
that would be
the
interesting to see.
serving
Like,
facility.
there's so many things in this industry that I don't really think people understand how they work, And I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't even realize that, and this is going to sound so bad, but I just figured this out a few years ago that on our bows, I always heard, oh, just get your string replaced. I always thought it was one consecutive string that kind of just weaved in and out. And then I had an issue with the string, and I realized, oh no, there's the string, there's the cables, and it goes this way and it goes that way, and it's got this type of twist. Another thing I didn't know is most strings supposedly clock left, and yet arrows are being built with right offset fletchings. And it's like, if we know that, why doesn't everyone build them clocking right or make fletching configurations to the left? It's just, there's certain things that people do in this industry that I'm just like, why do we do it this way?
So there's not, I was talking to a fiber manufacturer a few years ago, and he says, Brent, which way do you twist your bowstrings? And I said, well, it depends on which way the fiber is weaved.
Okay.
And he's a bowstring fiber manufacturer. And he looked at me and goes, yeah. He's like, I bet you're the only person that actually does it the right way.
So what's the right way?
Well, so you've got 2 different weave methodologies in fiber. So it depends on who you buy it from and what type of fiber it is, whether it's going to be one weave or the other. So if the raw fiber weave is left, okay, I'm going to twist the bowstring to the right because I'm locking in that fiber twist. I'm locking against it, so I don't get movement.
Yeah.
And a lot of builders, most every builder that I know, they only know to twist one way, no matter what fiber they use.
Huh.
Because that's the way they were taught.
Yeah.
And if they did it the other way, then they'd have to serve it. Basically, for them, it would be serving it backwards.
Yeah.
Awkward, and it takes more time. So knowing the fiber, knowing which way the weave is, and knowing which way you twist, there's benefits to it. Because if you lock against the fiber, you're actually increasing the axial stiffness of the bowstring, which is going to transfer more energy to the arrow.
Yeah.
Instead of getting the rubber band effect by going with it.
God, there's so much more to this than I ever thought. This is 2 weeks in a row. My brain is hurting now from a guest. I need to stop.
I will tell you that a lot of builders will fight me on that because they don't want to be proven wrong.
Oh, you better believe this segment of the episode is going to get clipped, and I guarantee you in the TikTok comments, it's going to be everyone being like, "Oh no, that's not true. What about this?" But and I'm just going to let it ride, man. I'm just
But
gonna let it ride. It's gonna be like when I had Tim Knight on and he was talking about, and I love bringing this up now because it's so funny the reactions I've seen. But I made the clip where he's like, in the beginning, he goes, "You got turkey hunters and turkey killers, and you need to figure out which one that you are." And there were so many people on there like, "Oh, I'm this, I'm that." That's not true. Tim Knight's the man, and I'm like, I only like that one because I'm like, yeah, that's the only thing someone said that actually makes sense. Everyone else is all like, "Oh, it's a pissing contest. I'm the best turkey hunter." And it's like, dude, I can't deal with it. I rarely read comments, but when that was happening, I had to check them out because it's just so funny. So I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be definitely getting clipped.
yeah. So
So
if you go to this fiber, this weave is Bloodline, the B99. This is 452X by BCY. The weaves are opposite.
so what do you do if you need to make a string with both those colors, like both those strings, or
You
can
can't.
you?
You
You
can't.
can't.
They're totally different materials.
Wow. So what happens if you try it though?
Oh, you're going to get all kind of problems.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. You
Huh.
can't. You totally different fibers. I'll tell you that if you want the Ferrari of bowstring fiber, and when I say Ferrari, I'm talking about where the Dyneema comes from, like the raw material, in comparison to the other. Um, the quality of the fiber, the B99, the Brave 99 that Bloodline makes is the Ferrari. I mean,
Really?
it doesn't get any better, any higher quality. Um,
Huh.
I've got four, five different fibers. Well, we call it four because I don't build a whole lot of longbow and recurve strings. We'll call it four different fibers in the shop, and 99.9% is Bloodline.
Hmm.
I've got
So,
four. I've got 452X been on the shelf for 3 years.
oh wow. So is that fiber even still good at that point?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
doesn't
yeah.
go
Well,
bad.
I guess so. Yeah, because bowstrings I've seen go for 10 years,
Yeah, I
but
mean, it doesn't go bad. I mean, the only thing that hurts a bowstring is, of course, wear and abuse, but ultraviolet light, sunlight kills
okay,
bowstring.
got it. That's wild. So, what about? And this is something I really wanted to touch on because I don't understand bowstrings at all. Right? I get what they do. I've seen the twist. I understand that part, but when you have a specific, let's say a specific company comes out with a bowstring, it's like, hey, if you use this string, you'll gain 5 foot a second. What what changed? What did they do?
So I think I know who you're talking about. And I think they're doing testing
Hmm.
with because they're only offering it for a certain amount of bows.
Okay.
And so I don't think anything really changed. There was one comment that he said, that was said that he increased elasticity, which increased speed, which that basically defies the laws of physics.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
So if you
Yeah.
have more elasticity, you're soaking up energy and not transferring it. So
Yeah.
that defies the laws of physics. So I think what they're doing is they're taking bow by draw length and they're adjusting the speed knock locations, gaining more speed.
Huh.
Because back in the mid to late 90s, even in the early 2000s, when bows did not come with speed knocks,
Mhm.
me as a bow shop owner, and working in my dad's shop, we were already doing that. We were putting speed knock, we were putting brass knock sets. That's where these companies got it from, was from the little small shops,
Yeah.
putting knocks on strings and shooting through chronographs and adjusting them to get bows to go faster.
So what does that do though? I'm assuming it's the weight that's up there that's probably pulling the string forward more, right?
So think about a bullwhip.
Uh-huh.
So it's given that whip-like effect to
Got it.
push the arrow down range faster.
Interesting. So is that what those so like hold on this bow, my backup, is that what these little doohickeys are right here?
So yeah, so is that a bear?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a bear. So
Yeah.
bear uses grubs, what they call grubs, but it's the same thing, and you can move them around, and you can gain more speed. You can actually move those.
Yeah, that's because I shot a budget bear for a little bit there, and I remember like having I know this wasn't one because it was just plain rubber. It was like a silencer, right? Like a dampener, I guess. And when I was shooting it, it would slide down. I mean, there was times where I'd be drawn back and literally be looking through the peep and I could feel it poking me in the eyebrow. And then I'd move it up, shoot 10 more times, back down there again. And I'm just like, what the
I
heck
don't
is
know,
this?
I don't know who builds the bear bowstrings, but the strand count is like super low. Um, if they built them out of 452, I'd probably say they're like a 20 strand shoot string.
Mhm.
And those grubs are made for a 24 strand shooting string. So I could see how they're moving.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
mean, those haven't given me any problems. And thankfully, after partnering up with Prime a couple months ago, my bow's finally shipping. Like it should be here in a few days. So I'm really excited to see what that does and like what's on that and sort of check it out. But yeah, I mean, that's mostly what I've shot is just bear. And so, I mean, granted, I have shot all the, flagship bows when they've come out just so I can compare and be like, okay, what am I missing? Right. But I dude, I've noticed the string stuff too. Even the stock strings from them and the stock strings from another company, it's almost like night and day.
One day.
And
And
it kind of blows my mind. Granted, it's a budget bow company in a sense, but still.
even take a flagship bow and look at the strings on it, and then look at my bowstrings. Just compare them. Just the looks of them is a night and day difference.
Hmm.
Installing them, tuning them, and shooting them, and the longevity that you get, it's night and day. I mean, we've got guys right now. I had a guy call me like 3 days ago, and he says, Brent, I don't know if this is the right question to ask you, but I'm going on my third year with my bowstrings. Nothing's moved. I've lost no poundage. They still look okay. There's a couple spots that are fuzzing,
Hmm.
but that's just from use. Should I change my bowstrings out? And I'm like, send me a picture. Let me show me like the fuzz spots,
Yeah.
and he did. He texted me a photo, and I'm like, dude, keep shooting them. Don't buy new bowstrings. You don't need them. Now, somebody else would have been like, oh yeah, you got to get some new bowstrings.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I
I
mean,
completely agree.
he's going on 3 years, 3 seasons of elk hunting on the same set of strings.
Jeez, man.
I
That's
mean, but
nuts.
that goes to two people. That goes to the quality of the build, and that goes to the fiber that was used.
Yeah.
And the fiber that was used was bloodline, and a lot of people are unfamiliar with bloodline. It's waxless. There is no wax.
All right. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to touch on that next. How is that because of the material that you just
No,
don't have to wax it? Or like what's
it
the
is a
difference?
it is a hard coating that goes on every fiber 360 degrees
Mhm.
that is abrasion resistant, water repellent, temperature stable, and it's got a UV inhibitor, which is the biggest killer of bowstrings is
Mhm.
ultraviolet light. Um, Wax, when you wax a bowstring, the wax, number one, the wax is heavy. Okay. So it slows the string down, slows the bow down.
Mhm.
But the biggest thing with wax is say you dialed your bow in the late spring at 75 degrees and everything's beautiful, and you dial that bow in. Well, what does wax do when it gets hot? Like really hot,
Melt.
right? It expands.
Mhm.
It could make your timing go off.
Yeah, I've
It
had
could,
that happen.
right? What happens when it gets cold? It contracts. It does
Yep.
the opposite. So, if you go from, let's call it Texas, where I'm down here in Texas, and I dial one in the summertime, and I go to Colorado or I go to Montana and 30-degree weather in September, and now my bow's shooting low or shooting high because my cable's contracted. Things moved.
Yeah.
Well, with bloodline, you don't have to worry about that. You
That
know,
dude. I
it,
remember when I first heard about that, and my first thought was how much I used to wax. I could pull my old bow up, and it still from 4 years ago has little wax pieces that are in it. Because I just when I started, everyone's like, make sure you wax it every time you shoot it. Make sure you
but
wax it. And I'm like,
the
okay,
other, the other counterpart to wax is it attracts dust and dirt.
yes, it does.
And so
Yes, it does.
what happens when you shoot your bow? Okay, I don't know if you've ever looked at like a high speed video that's been slowed down.
Mhm.
String actually looks like a balloon,
Yeah.
right? It opens up and closes. Okay. So all that wax and dirt goes inside,
Hmm.
causes internal abrasion from the inside. So you get your string is being damaged from the inside where you can't even see it now.
Gosh, dude.
You know,
So
there's
much
a
more to
way to
this.
get away from that, right? You can burnish your strings, you can wax them and then take a, piece of soft serving thread or whatever and burnish it and like squeeze all that nasty wax out and
Yeah.
re-wax them. But most people don't even know to do that.
I didn't know to do that.
Well,
So,
this is
I,
going, this is coming from a guy that's, I, I mean, I've been building bowstrings in my dad's shop since I was like 12 years old.
yeah.
I'm 43 now, so I've got more experience than most people have in their combined company,
You have more
their
experience than
employee.
I do
You
life.
know,
That's nuts.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but when he came out with it, I'll tell you because we were one of the first companies that kind of bought into the bloodline idea or
Mhm.
ideology. Um, and back then I was building with 452X and that's all I built with. So what I did is I went to the VEC 99, which was almost the exact same, but in bloodline. And we cranked it. I mean, we went from 452X being the number one seller to VEC 99 being number one in just a few months.
Mhm.
People were having a hard time getting serving to start. We were having serving separation issues, and we worked with them. We worked with Bloodline. We fixed our own, but we worked with Bloodline and we worked the coating, we worked the pigments, and we got it to where it wasn't as bad. But what
Mhm.
I found out was the coating doesn't like to stick to Vectran, which is 33% of what the string is.
Yeah.
And so you would get like some gnarly bleed through on the serving, like colors would come out. And so I basically asked him, I'm like, hey, is Vec 99 the best fiber that you offer? Or, and he's like, no, man, no, no, B99 is the Ferrari. And so I started getting some B99 and building with it and doing testing and, speed testing, just running it through all the rigors of, um, I, I don't know how many free sets of bowstrings I gave away, but just to get feedback, right?
Yeah.
And everybody fed back 100%. This is the best fiber ever. I've gained 5, 6 feet per second with it. I don't know what you're doing, but just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Get rid of that other stuff. And so we went 100% B99, and I haven't had any of the bleed through problems. I haven't had any of the serving separation problems. People like yourself that are tying peep sights in aren't having problems, getting serving to stick to it.
Yeah.
It's just been a phenomenal product, and we've been with it for I don't know 4 years now.
So
Um,
do you think this is something that like the industry is just going to pick up on over time where they just start swapping over to that type of material? Because I mean, it sounds like
I
if
don't
it's the
think so
best
because
one,
I don't think so because a lot of these big companies, fiber companies, they're kind of married to
mm,
BCY. They've been doing business for so long, they're not gonna try to
swap.
hurt a relationship to go to a new fiber. Um, and to be honest with you, the owner of Bloodline Fiber is just like me. He
Yeah.
is the owner, the operator, the janitor, and the secretary. He is literally just like me. He's a one-man show, him and his wife. So he couldn't gear up and handle the volume needed.
Yeah.
He wants to stay more of the elite bowstring fiber, the best of the best, and keep it
Yeah.
small, just like me. I want to be the best of the best, and that's if you look at people complaining about A3, it's lead times. It's not quality. It's never quality. Oh,
Yeah.
it takes too long. I ordered my strings 2 weeks ago. Well, you know what, man? If you want a bowstring that's going to last you for years,
Takes
you
time.
can wait, you can wait a little bit.
Yeah.
You want some fast trash? There's people that'll get them to you the next day, but you're going
Yeah.
to be
It's
changing them in 6 months.
dude, that's a big thing. Like, and I've been dealing with that a lot lately. I mean, so when I got my new dialed proof, I talked with Scott and I was like, hey, what time, how long do you think it's going to be? I'm not really in a big rush. I haven't even ordered my bow yet. And I think the lead time was like 4 or 5 weeks. And I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I don't need it. What's crazy is showed up the next week.
If you look at true customized products,
Yeah.
the normal lead time is 4 weeks.
Yeah.
A true customized product is normally 4 weeks. But these companies that have custom in their name, they're popping them out next day, 2 days, 3 days. But you're changing your strings again in 6 months.
Yeah.
Is it worth
Yeah.
it?
I mean, no, it's not worth it. My thing with it is like people, what I was getting at though is these days, everybody wants, and I'm guilty of it. I mean, dude, if I could tell you the amount of times I texted Brian at Prime about my bow in the past month, I called him on Monday and it was not related to the bow, but we ended up talking about it. And I just told him flat out, I was like, Brian, I'm sorry. I was like, I know I've been blowing your phone up. I apologize. It's just you don't understand. Like, if you would have told me back when I started doing this that I'd be shooting a flagship bow that is the first hybrid bow that's ever come out, that at least I know of, and it's the most comfortable, like I'm just excited. And he's like, dude, it's all good. Don't worry about it. I was like, if it was any other bow or any other brand, I probably would have been a little frustrated that it was 4 to 5 weeks, but like people, it was humbling because it's like, no, you want a good product, you want a good quality product, you have to wait because it takes time. You can't just mass produce perfection.
So, if you go back to the stretching process,
Yeah.
a lot of builders, and I'm not going to say what they do but I would assume they stretch them for 15, 20 minutes, 30, maybe 30 minutes. But if you think about it, if I load this table up and I got, two short cables and a string, well, the cables are going to be done before the string gets done.
Yeah.
Because it's not a linear, it's not a static, it's a linear, right? The longer the string is, the longer it has to stretch.
Mm-hmm.
And I can prove that with pre-cycle because a 100-inch bowstring takes longer than a 60-inch bowstring, a lot to get done. So, that is the Achilles heel. That's the bottleneck of bowstring building. So, I think that a lot of bowstrings get stretched for 15, 20 minutes and they get served and they get shipped. And then the end user just has to deal with it.
Yeah.
And what takes me longer is I'm waiting. I'm waiting for those things to be done before I can serve them and ship them, right? I mean, I'm not going to send, and here's the thing, peep rotation is a big thing.
Oh yeah, I dealt with it for years.
About it all the time. Do you know that when I build a set of bowstrings or when anybody else builds a set of bowstrings, I don't care who you are, that peep's going to rotate when you put it in the package?
I mean, I feel like you do it long enough, you kind of see it, it's kind of,
so you put a peep string that separates the bundles to put the peep in, right? So that string is sitting in that little piece of string is sitting in the bundle. And when I come off of I build mine under 500 pounds of tension, which I think I haven't heard anybody ever building them under that much tension, but I'm able to do it because I built a lot of my own equipment.
okay.
Most people build them under like 350 pounds because that's all they can achieve. I've got bigger equipment. I built it myself. But when I build bowstrings and I come off of 500 pounds back to 100, that peep string should stay straight. It shouldn't move. So when I go from 500 to 100, if that peep string rotates, that peep's gonna rotate every time it pulls back.
Huh.
So when I see that, I take a razor blade and I cut it in half and I start over. I don't send it out.
So what's the benefit of doing it at that high of pressure?
Because I can serve it tighter.
Okay, I can see that.
So
I can definitely see that.
when you're serving a bowstring, and we serve it. I mean, I serve it almost to the breaking point of the serving thread. Not quite, but it's serving really, really tight. If somebody else was doing it that tight, and most of their machines can only go to like 350 pounds, or mine goes to 500.
Yeah.
If I'm serving it that tight at 350, I can actually build twist, like the string is twisting underneath the serving as it's being served.
Huh.
And so that's going to cause rotation.
Yeah.
right? It's going to cause peak rotation and a lot of other nasty things, cam timing issues and it's bad.
Yeah.
But I can serve tighter because I can give it greater tension, which is going to mitigate serving separation and a whole lot of things down the road for the end user. So it's all about building a better quality bowstring.
So what you're saying is with your strings, there is no peak rotation.
There's none.
You can save a lot of people a lot of headache, man, by doing that.
And there never will be.
Yeah. I
Because it's
see. I had the problem with that years ago, and I literally was so frustrated that I went back to a tube peat for like a few months, and then it kept breaking on me. I got hit in the face a couple times. I'm like, you know what, this ain't worth it. So I've been there. I know how frustrating. One time I pulled back on a doe and didn't even think about peep rotation. I'd been dealing with it, but in the moment I wasn't thinking about it. I'm fully drawn back, and I can't even see through it. And it's the peep is like the thickest part right here.
Yeah, trying to adjust it with your nose.
Oh no, I just didn't shoot her. I let down. It was way too close. It was a too small of a property. She was already alert. I lost. So yeah, no, I hate peep rotation, man. It's the one thing I've always worried about the most. I did try to learn how to shoot through it if it were to happen, and I did lose some arrows. There's a hole in my fence because of it, and I may have shot a horse. But it's the neighbor never came over, so I think I missed it, hopefully. But dude, that's wild. I mean, I never knew there was so much that went into strings. But I do. So is there anything else with the A3 we need to cover before we move on to like seasonings and stuff like that?
I don't think so. I mean, we'll cover. Let's just cover serving.
Yeah.
Just real quick serving. So a lot of manufacturers use a 8,000th twisted Spectra serving because it's super cheap. A lot of people can't really tell the difference. We use an 8,000th braided serving because of the abrasion resistance it gives you. The biggest difference is I can buy a pound of twisted for a couple $100. Okay. A little less than a couple, I think it's $190 a pound. But when I go to braided serving, it's a little over $400 a pound. So big price difference, right? But you're getting better quality. Same thing with in servings. I use a 14,000 BOA ice serving, which is a braided serving that actually has so halo serving, right? Halo is basically, think about like hollow core. So it's braided, but it's hollow through the middle. What Mark did with Bloodline is we ran a HMPE core through the center of it. So it's got a core in the middle. So what happens is instead of the serving laying down flat when it's served tight, the BOA serving, the BOA ice actually stays round because of the core. So I can get about 20% more serving on a bowstring, which is also going to mitigate serving separation and other issues, right? Because I'm getting more serving compacted, it's staying rounded. You can literally feel it in the draw cycle of the bow because it's not flat. So quality of materials is paramount. I mean, use quality stuff, you get quality product, right? I mean, I wouldn't send somebody a $100 cutting board, made out of birch, I mean, I'm going to send it out of cherry or walnut, right? I mean, quality of product used equals quality product, going to the end user. So servings are big. People do cut corners with it. I see a lot of bowstrings out there with like 62 XS for the center serving. It's a good serving. I can't complain about it, but the longevity of it's not going to last. We use power grip. Power grip was meant for a reason, to grip the bowstring where the bowstring meets its ultimate pinnacle, right, at full draw. I mean, it's literally this, right? So you want something that's going to grip and not separate after doing this over and over and over, right? So power grip serving serves a purpose. It's the best thing that you can use. It's more expensive, but it's better.
There's so much to this. I had no idea. I know I've said that so many times. My brain's just like taking all of it in. I really always thought that there was one type of serving, that there was one type of, I mean, I knew there was different types of string material, but I didn't realize how much went into it. I always thought it was like the tightness of how they, twist the strings or
So
that's.
I've been playing with this. I got this in last week. This is the new Bloodline Revelation. So basically what he did was he put there's a new coating called gecko coating, which it gives it surface cohesion. So it's sticky. It's not
Mhm.
sticky to where dust sticks to it, but like sticky, like when I'm trying tying serving, it really grips it really good.
Yeah.
So I've been playing with this, and I think I'm going to launch another series of bowstrings here in the future with the Revelation. It's a little bit more expensive, but for people that do their own work that aren't really good at tying peeps, it really helps. It's works pretty damn well. So
Yeah, that's one thing I gotta learn, man, is like I remember a couple years ago trying to tie my own peep because of course at the time I still go to the shop. This guy doesn't work there anymore, but the guy that used to work there gave me the bow without the peep tied in, and I got lucky it didn't go flying out, but I called up and I was like, hey, not only is my string completely twisted, can't see through this, the peep's also not tied in. And they were like, oh, really? Like they were cool about it. They were like, come back up, we'll fix it. And they fixed it. But I mean, that I tried to do it that day and I looked up about
I've
20
got a
different
video.
videos. I could not figure it out. So
I've got
whatever
a
wizardry you guys do, I mean,
I've got a really good video, and I think it's out on my YouTube channel, which I have not been updating or paying any attention to. But
yeah.
I think I've got a really good video on a couple different ways to tie peeps in, the way I tie them in, and then a quicker way to tie them in.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a really good. I'll have to go double check, but I know I did it.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's a
How
really
long ago did you do it?
good. So
How long ago was that?
a couple years ago.
So I may have watched your video then
Yeah,
because I
it
went
took
through all of YouTube, man.
been
Everything I
about
could
20
watch.
years ago, but it's a really good in-depth video that like I think I even used like deed loop material so you could see like the way I was tying. Like it wasn't just with little teeny tiny thread.
Yeah, I
Like
think I do remember that.
you could really see the way it was being tied.
I'm
Um,
gonna look it up tonight after we get off of here, and I'm gonna see because I like I said, I watched as many as I could, and a lot of it was the camera right up on it, and you see
and
the thing that kills me about those videos, and I know it's probably something that can't really be helped, but what kills me the most is when people are like, here's how you tie a peep, or here's how you do this, or you do that, and you see like them do it, and they do it so fast, or they slow it down, but then their hand goes in front of the most important part, and I'm like,
let's see
what
it.
kind of loop was that? I I can't. How'd you do this? I mean, it's just a whole. I need to just take an archery class with my buddies up at the shop and be like, teach me your ways, so I know what to do. Because I mean, I've set bows up. I was just talking to Ben from Sodak earlier today about my bow. And he was
I
like,
need
"Oh
to
man, just do it at
get a
home." I'm like,
I need to get Ben back on the A3 bandwagon. So Ben was a shooter for me for like 3 years, and I don't. Um, but I also used to work with the same marketing guy that he works with,
mhm,
and me and the marketing guy split, and then Ben left with him. So,
yeah,
but I
that
get Ben.
happens.
I don't know what strings he's shooting, but I'm pretty sure they're not as good as mine. So I need to get him back
Well, I
on
know
the.
he'll listen to this, so I'll give him the heads up. But yeah,
Yeah,
like I said, I've done my own work. I mean, hell, I went an entire season one time with a Bear Paradox single cam that all I did, and dude, I killed 2 deer with it. I had a good season that year. But
it's not
I
a bad
had
bow.
a limb driven rest with that I never paper tuned it, never timed it, nothing. And all I did was just take the rest, bolt it on, tied it at the bottom of the limb, made sure it was super tight, and just went outside and sighted it in, moved the rest over some if I had to. And it worked great. But that's as far as my knowledge with it goes. As far as hands on, I could talk about it all day. Hands on, don't let me touch your bow. That's all I'm saying. I'm not a bow tech. But all
Well,
right, I want to go ahead.
one more thing, when it comes to like, my customer base, my clientele base, I did the metrics the other day. I've got like a 98% return customer base. So I feel pretty confident in that, but a lot of my customers, when they have an issue or they have a technical question, it may
Mhm.
not even be about bowstrings. They know that they can call me and I'm going to answer the phone and they're going to get 30 years worth of knowledge on the phone. You know,
That's
we,
extremely valuable.
you know, but that's just something else I offer to my customers. I mean, if you got a technical question, you're having an issue with something, call me. I'm going to
Yeah.
answer the phone and I'll take the time to help you, or if I don't have the time, hey, let's FaceTime later so I can see the problem and
Yeah.
let me work through it. So how many other bowstring companies do you know that can do that?
I I don't,
You know,
honestly. I don't.
I mean, I owned a pro shop for years,
Yeah.
literally been working on them for 30 years, I've seen the
Yeah, I
entire
love.
evolution of the compound bow.
Yeah, that is something I've got. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got an old, was it a
I saw it
Browning?
when we first got
Yeah,
on.
old Browning back there. My one of my buddy's dads gave me. And
That's
he
a
was like, "Yeah,
Milan.
man, go on." And this is right after I got the bear last year. So this has been a year ago. And I just bought that bow. And I went over to his place and we were talking hunting and stuff. And he's like, "Man, I got a bow that you can have." And I'm like, "Oh, I just got one, but okay. I'm sure Jess won't care that I've got 3 bows now. About to have 4, which that was a whole nother conversation. But and he pulls this thing out and he was like, "Yeah, I haven't shot it in a while, but it's old school. Like, don't think it's as high tech as this one." He pulls out this wood limb Browning, and I was like, "I'm never shooting this, but this is so cool to see the plastic wheels, or maybe they were metal. I don't even know, but the wheels, and then look at the bear and be like, look how far we've come. And the bear is not even high tech. The only
Yeah,
thing high tech about that bow is it's got multiple adjustments on the mod. Once this prime comes in and I put it next to this old bow, I mean, that's really going to be like, it's insane. It's
yeah.
insane how far we've come. But I want to talk about, I want to switch gears a little bit. You mentioned seasonings. Now, you and I had a conversation a few weeks ago about seasonings and cooking and stuff. What are you doing in the seasoning game? Like, what's coming out with that?
So just a little backstory. So I've been into cooking my entire life. My grandfather was a really good cook. My mother was a really good cook. My dad was a non-cook. I mean, he could cook eggs and bacon for breakfast, but that was about it. So between my grandfather, my mom's dad, and my mom, just being ultimate cooks, they taught me to cook. I mean, um, when we would get off a school bus, at 9, 10 years old, I would do my homework and then I would cook dinner for the family. 9, 10 years old. So cooking's really been a big thing for me. Um, I was always told that cooking is an experiment. Sometimes it comes out good, sometimes it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
You learn from your mistakes just like you do anything else in life. So I've taken those values and applied it to my life, to my cooking, different recipes, my grandpa's recipes, my mom's recipes. Um, but seasoning, so a couple years back, I had somebody give me some seasoning and it totally blew me away. Like the the freshness of the seasoning. You don't realize you go buy some Tony Sacheries or some all-purpose or some Cajun Creole seasoning. You taste it and it tastes good, right?
Mm-hmm.
You cook with it for years. It might be your cabinet staple for years, but when you truly taste a fresh seasoning, it's mind altering.
Yeah.
Like, the taste profile is completely different than something that was mass produced, put in cases in a warehouse for months and months and months, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I went out and I played with seasoning, I mean, I've dried my own peppers and crushed my own peppers and made my own seasonings at home from scratch after that, and could reproduce it. But to be able to reproduce it on a massive scale I'm not that big. I don't have that much money. So what I did was I took a few of my recipes, my seasoning recipes that I've made over the years, and I found a seasoning company that does small batch. Their seasonings come in on a truck on a Monday, and they're shipping out on Friday, blended and packed. So the
Yeah.
seasonings they're only a week old by the time they go out in their small batch, small quantity. So I'm only allowed to get like 100 pounds a week of 3 different types. So I'm not allowed to get a bunch of seasoning. So it's never going to go stale, or
Yeah.
it's always going to be fresh. Um, so that's kind of where I went with it. And I said, I think I can do something with it. So we built a website. It's not actually published yet, but what I've got is I've got a recipe form. So if you have a recipe, family recipe, mom's recipe, papa's recipe, or you could put a recipe on there and you've cooked it with our seasoning, right? And you can upload it. It could be, whatever your mom's last name, dad's last name, their recipe. We'll host them on the website. We'll sell the seasonings on the website. I'm going to sell cutting boards and things like that, that are engraved on there as well. But the seasoning, man, if you've never had really good fresh seasoning, it'll blow your mind.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
that, I mean, especially getting into like, a little background no one probably knows about me, but could probably guess is when I was younger, I didn't care about cooking. I mean, it was kind of interesting, like my mom would watch that Emerald show and I'd come home from school and she'd just be chilling. You see this Italian guy up there making God knows what. And I'd sit down and watch it with her and I'd be like, okay, it's kind of cool. It looks a little weird. I don't know if I'd want half of that, but whatever. And then as I got older and once I started hunting, that's where it kind of, because my dad was a huge cook. Like my dad was by far the best cook I've ever met. That dude, chicken soup is so simple that that man could make it the best meal you've ever had, right? And there was no chicken in it. That's the crazy part. There was no chicken in it. And I'm
just
like,
broth.
how do you even do this? It was nuts. Yeah. And so
Get that chicken
taking that, it's like it's a side of me that I never really knew. And then
Yeah.
once I started getting deer and I'm like, okay, I'm not just, because I cooked it. I remember the first deer steak I ever made. It was absolutely terrible. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no seasoning on it whatsoever. Threw it in the pan, like one of those not even cast iron. It was like one of those steel or whatever pans, and just threw it in there and was like, "Oh, here you go." And we took one bite and we're like, "Oh, this is this. I can't do this." Right. And
You know what people mess up with steaks in general is they don't put enough seasoning on it.
yeah, and that was the problem. That was the
Like
problem.
so a steak, you can marinate a steak, but it's only going to take in so much marinade before it quits.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But the surface area of a steak, there's more surface area on the outside than there is on the inside. So put some seasoning on the outside, get it on the outside edges, get it on the top, get it on the bottom, let it sit there. And don't be afraid, to use salt because salt starts breaking down the proteins in the steak,
Mm-hmm.
makes it tender.
Yep.
So, you can take a poor man's steak, you can take the cheapest sirloin in the grocery store, pile it full of salt, just salt, put it in the refrigerator for 5 hours, take it out, wash the salt off of it, season up, cook it, and it'll be the best steak you ever ate. Be so
Yeah.
tender because you've already started breaking down the protein. So it's understanding the meats that you're cooking and the recipe that you're going after to get the results that you want, but you got to have an understanding of what certain things are doing.
Yep.
You ever cook chicken wings and you want them crispy?
Yeah. It's the only way to do it.
You want them crispy, right? But the best way to make them crispy? Baking powder.
Bacon powder.
Next time you do chicken wings, take some salt and some baking powder, whatever other dry seasonings you want,
Yeah.
put it in a bowl, pat them dry, put them in a bowl, shake them up, get them coated with the baking powder and whatever seasonings you want, right? Then go cook them.
Huh.
That baking powder draws the moisture out of the skin
Mm-hmm.
and the surface to where the moisture can cook off so the skin can get crispy.
Huh.
It's just knowing what you're doing when you're cooking and knowing what the things are going to do to it.
Yeah.
It's science. It's really science.
Yeah. I mean, it is really interesting, man. Like with the deer steak. So I went from terrible deer steak to now having my own little recipe thing that when it's a backstrap, it works. Like I told you earlier with round eye, it doesn't work. Yeah, it is it wasn't good. But again, it's experimenting, like last night or was it last night? No, the night before when I tried to make the round eye steaks and it was last minute and I didn't. So I'll tell you what I do. For if you give me a backstrap, right? Freeze it. Doesn't matter how long it's been frozen. Take it out, unwrap it, and put it in a Ziploc bag. Still frozen. Take teriyaki sauce, put it in there, marinate it in that. Get a barbecue seasoning, whatever seasoning you want. Be generous with it. Get minced garlic, put that in there. Maybe like, I don't know, 2-3 scoops, right? And just let it sit. Don't put it in the fridge. Let it sit on the counter. wait till it thaws out, and then take it, put it in the fridge for another day. So it's a 2-day thing. You take that out on the next day, and some people are going to crucify me for this, but it tastes great. Put it in a cast iron skillet with butter. Best deer steak I've ever had in my life. And all of that was experimenting. It literally, I've done it before where there was no marinade. I've just let it sit. I put seasoning on it, and some of that's good. But like whatever happens chemically, whatever happens scientifically, when that steak, my stepdad is a master with steaks. That dude is amazing.
It's the salts and the teriyaki, and it's the salts and whatever you're seasoning that starts breaking down the proteins and makes it tender. But going to seasonings, so we're launching. I'm launching a Cajun seasoning, right? 2 different Cajun seasoning. One that's just a regular, one that's a little bit warmer, a little bit spicier, not overpowering spicy, but
like a flavorful spice.
Yeah, and think bright notes of like lemons. Think bright spicy notes. You want to be able to offset spice with something, right? So where it's not as spicy, but you're getting those full note flavors in your blend. So that's one. So well, that's 2. Then I've got just a general. So you're in Pennsylvania, right?
Georgia.
Georgia. Okay. Well, so maybe do you know what the Holy Trinity is?
Talking about the peppers?
Yeah. So your bell pepper, your celery, your onion. That's the Holy Trinity, right? And a coon ass like me from South Louisiana, that's the base of almost every meal. But I'm making that in a powder.
Ooh.
Okay. And it's good on anything. Literally, vegetables, it's good on anything.
Yeah.
So I got the 2 Cajun blends. I've got the Holy Trinity in a bottle. I've got a barbecue rub. It's an apple whiskey.
Oh, now we're talking. Okay.
It'll knock your socks off, buddy.
Hey, dude, I was just in Texas a month ago, and we went to Terry Black's. Now I don't know if they're using stuff like that over there, but Terry Black's, I'm telling you what, I can't eat barbecue again unless I go there. It was that good. I know y'all down in Texas know what you're doing with your barbecue. It's so good.
So it's a smoked apple whiskey barbecue rub that is phenomenal. I mean, put it on steaks, you put it on anything. It's amazing. It's really, really good. And then I've got one that's just a salt, pepper, garlic.
Those are good too. I use that all the time.
Salt, pepper, garlic, but it's in one bottle. It's the way I ratio it. And it's literally good on squash, zucchini. I mean, put it on anything, raw vegetables, bell pepper, whatever you like to eat. It's just really good all around, all-purpose type seasoning. So that's what we're starting with, and then I've got a bunch of recipes that I've already put on the website to share with people, and some of those recipes are 100 years old. They came from my great grandparents and stuff that I still cook today.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah. So I'm not, it's something that I'm passionate about. It's not something, just like I told my fiance, whatever money I make off this, I'm just going to put it right back in the company.
Yeah.
It's not something that I'm trying to make money off of. It's something that's going to be generational wealth down the road.
So, well, if it gets big enough to the point where you are starting to and I'm sure that this is probably in the plans, but you start expanding and stuff. I know of a couple places around here that would probably like to carry it. So keep me updated on that, and I can connect you guys, because I mean, look, you caught my eye with the apple whiskey thing. I mean, I love a good whiskey. I love apples. I love barbecue. You mix all that together, I'm sold. Yeah, that's what I'm sold, man.
The other thing that I'm planning on doing, and I've got samples out of the butt right now, and I'm waiting on a couple more to approve for production. But once we go into production, I'm getting their 1.5 ounce sachets is what they call them. It's just a little plastic pack with the logo on the front that I'm going to put in every set of bowstrings that ships out of here, so people can taste it.
Yeah.
Where to go get it. So there you go.
I was going to ask you about that, if you're going to start adding in seasonings with every set of bowstrings, because I mean, dude, that's perfect marketing. Why
But
not? It all
and,
circles back. Like when we hunt, we cook. When we
and
cook, we use seasonings.
then we've got these guys, and I've got different shapes, but those are leather patches. They're adhesive backed iron on leather patches, just like the one you got on your hat right now.
Mhm.
That I'm going to be engraving the company logos and stuff like that on
Okay.
with the machine. But also, we're going to be sending, these are black aluminum business cards that I'll be engraving, and they'll be going in packages too.
Dude, that's gonna be sick, man. You guys are busy.
And then
Y'all are really busy.
people that we partner with, like yourself, my field staff, my pro staff, they'll have a special card that has a QR code on the back of it. So when they're at tournaments or they're at places and they're talking,
Yeah.
the person can scan that QR code, read all about A3 Archery, the process, the technology, and get a discount code, by
That's
scanning the
sick.
QR code.
Dude,
So,
that's awesome. I love hearing stuff like that. I mean, the thing I think I like the most about it is like, yeah, you make bowstrings, but it's not just the bowstrings that you're doing, you know? Like you've got other things in the works, the seasoning thing's really interesting. I mean, I guess before, because we've been going, shoot, man, almost 2 hour, about an hour and a half. We need to get you back on because we didn't talk anything about hunting.
no, we
And
didn't.
I want to talk hunting,
Yeah.
but you being in Texas, and I heard you say Montana and stuff like that. That we've got to set up another episode for this.
Well, I lived in Montana for 7 years.
Oh, dude, I bet the
So
stories.
I'm not going to tell anybody my little spots because a lot of them are still hidden. They're little hidden gems, but
Yeah,
you live so long and you spend so much time in the mountain, you learn the elk, you learn where they go hide at, little pockets they get into. And so I could take you to Montana this September and get in the mountain, and we would be on elk in within an hour. You'd be
gosh,
looking at more elk than you can shake a stick at. Um, you know, it's just knowing the area, knowing the region,
yeah.
knowing what.
I mean, it's the same thing out here. Like this year on public land that I've been hunting for 5 years, I'm not even using cameras. There's no need.
Yeah,
Like I still have to go get my cameras, but I know where the deer go. I know where the spots are at. I just have to do my part and actually shoot one.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Get in there
man.
with the right wind. Get in there with get in there with the right.
Yeah. There's
I
there's so
mean,
much to it. I mean, if you've listened to some of the older episodes and probably maybe the ones within the past year, you've probably heard the story about the giant, like biggest buck I've ever seen in my life on public land. And I'm not saying I'm planning on hunting that spot because I did get 2 cameras stolen there last year, but I'm not saying that I'm not hunting that spot. So whoever's listening, if they stole the cameras, great. Hope you enjoyed them. But you might see me up in there because again, man, like it really goes back to learning your hunting spots and your terrain and all that stuff. So what I want to do, if you've got the time, I know you're really busy, but if you've got the time later this summer, I want to get you back on because I'm planning on doing kind of like, and I've said this to a few people this year because I want to hear their, I guess, in season stuff, like summertime for us. I mean, right now I've got bucks that I think the biggest one I've got, he's got, 3-4 inch nubs coming off his head. And for April around this time, that's pretty good. I mean, he's the biggest one I've seen yet. Now, granted, I had 8 shooter bucks on this property last year, so I know what's going to be there. But I want to get you back on this summer to talk about, I guess, your early season stuff, what you do. I'm sure it's way different in Texas and Montana than what's out here in Georgia. Um,
I'll tell you real quick, in Texas, man, it's your hunting ranch.
yeah,
It's
but I want to
it's
hear about that because that's
yeah,
interesting to me.
it's
Like,
it's ranch hunting, it's exotics, it's hogs.
see, that's cool. That's so cool. You can shoot a Neil guy. I
oh,
can't shoot a Neil guy. You can shoot a
yeah.
Neil guy.
If an axis deer walks in the backyard right now, I could shoot him.
There you
You know,
go. That's so wild.
they're a non, they're not a Texas species.
Yeah.
So there's no law around them. So it's a little bit different.
I love Texas. I absolutely love Texas. We went to the stockyard when we were there. Boy, let me tell you. I don't remember what happened. I had a rough night. For people who listen to this know I'm a Christian and I'm trying to do better. That was one of those nights I am not proud of. But I heard it was a good time. So I'm able to admit that. But yeah, man, if you've got the time later this summer, I'd love to get you back on and talk about just a whole episode of hunting, just stories and tactics and stuff like that. So before we wrap it up, tell people where they can find you.
We'll do. Where they can find me?
Yeah.
A3Archery.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Yeah, and I will when I catch this podcast, can I comment on this podcast?
Yeah, yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll comment a discount code for this podcast, and where all you peeps can take advantage of a 15% discount.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, and I'll probably have that discount code in the description too. But for the people on TikTok who I don't know what's going on with TikTok, man. It's almost like you get way more exposure on that. And you've seen the videos that I'm posting. I've just started doing the clips and stuff. And even then, it's still like, well, if you're watching the clip and you like the clip, go listen to the whole episode, because the whole episode has more than just 30 seconds of the clip. But this new generation and stuff,
So TikTok is a scrolling app, right?
It is
to literally scroll, so it's
Yeah.
not go listen, maybe like a Facebook or whatever. But whenever you post this, I'll get it out there on my Facebook page.
Awesome.
We also have String Talk. I don't know if you knew that or not, but String Talk is a community that we also own on Facebook.
I did not know about that.
Yep, we'll get
I'll look that up.
we'll get it on Instagram, and I'll also get it on TikTok. So
Awesome. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate it, Brent. It's been a good episode, man. Definitely be tagging you and everything, and then we'll make sure that people get what they want. I'm not worried about that.
when we get here.
Yeah. Wait, what?
You gotta get some strings on that prime when you get it in.
Oh, boy, I've already had my mind rolling. Don't even worry about it.
Play with the website, a3archery.com. Play with the string builder. It is literally the best string builder in the industry with all the different colors. We use the actual color of the bowstring, not a color palette,
Yeah.
to build the builder. So when you see it, that's what they look like in real life.
Well, I'm not getting any sleep tonight then, because that's what I'm going to go do right now. Appreciate it, buddy.